Elias adjusted his sleeve as he stepped onto the observation deck of the Orion station. The station hung like a silver jewel in orbit around the vibrant blue planet below. Streams of sunlight bounced off the metallic walls, reflecting off his reflection in the polished floor. He had worked on many stations, but Orion felt different. It was alive with activity, a place where humans and aliens worked together, a place where boundaries of logic and creativity collided. Today, however, Elias had another challenge. He was being assigned to work with Lyra, a diplomat from the distant star system of Viridian. Her species had a reputation for precision, efficiency, and a strict adherence to rules. To say she was skeptical of humans would be an understatement. And to say humans were unpredictable would only scratch the surface of what he was about to face. As he approached the central hub, he caught sight of her. Lyra stood tall, her translucent skin shimmering faintly under the station's lights. Her eyes were a sharp violet, scanning data streams with perfect focus. She moved with grace, every motion deliberate. Elias couldn't help but be impressed, but he reminded himself to keep a professional distance. "Elias," a voice called. It was calm, controlled, but with an undercurrent of authority. Lyra turned toward him, her gaze assessing. "I understand you've been assigned to work with me. I hope you understand the nature of this task." Elias offered a polite smile. "I do, and I'm ready to contribute however I can." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Ready is not enough. We must achieve precision. Failure is not an option." Elias nodded, though internally he felt a flicker of unease. Working with someone who doubted him before even starting was daunting. But Elias had always thrived in challenging situations. After all, humans had a way of thinking differently, of finding solutions in places others wouldn't even look. He was determined to prove that tonight. Their first task was to inspect the planetary communication array. The array transmitted vital data to colonies on the surface below. Any malfunction could disrupt communications, delay supplies, and create confusion. The station's AI had already flagged minor inconsistencies, but Lyra's job was to oversee everything. Elias was there to troubleshoot, adjust, and offer solutions that were less conventional. As they entered the control chamber, Elias took in the environment. Screens floated mid-air, filled with constantly shifting symbols. Panels glowed with colors that didn't exist in any human spectrum. Yet, he wasn't intimidated. He saw possibilities where others might see chaos. Lyra moved ahead, her fingers gliding over holographic controls. "The diagnostics indicate minor fluctuations in the energy conduit," she said, her voice precise, almost musical in tone. "I believe it is insignificant." Elias studied the data, noticing subtle patterns the AI had highlighted. "I think it might be more than that," he said cautiously. "If it continues, the output could drop during high demand cycles." Lyra paused, glancing at him. "You presume to understand systems you have never fully trained on?" Her voice was calm, but carried a weight that made Elias straighten his back. "I don't presume," Elias replied. "I observe patterns. Sometimes being outside the standard training helps see what's missed." Lyra's violet eyes narrowed, but there was no anger, only curiosity, and perhaps a grudging respect for his confidence. She gestured to a console. "Show me." Elias stepped forward, manipulating the holographic display. "See here," he said, pointing to a series of energy pulses. "They spike in irregular intervals. The AI marks them as minor, but if we don't adjust the conduit calibration, it could worsen when more nodes come online." Lyra leaned closer. "Interesting. You notice deviations humans consider trivial. Very well. We will monitor your solution." Elias allowed himself a small smile. It wasn't acceptance yet, but it was a start. Hours passed as they worked side by side, adjusting parameters and running simulations. Lyra was thorough, meticulous, and often inflexible. Elias, on the other hand, relied on a mix of instinct and observation. Where Lyra followed protocol, Elias experimented, but always safely. Their styles clashed, and sometimes sparks of frustration flickered between them. Yet, amidst the tension, something unexpected began to happen: mutual recognition. By mid-evening, the first signs of success emerged. The energy conduit stabilized and the output became steady. Lyra's sharp gaze softened slightly. "Your method is unconventional, yet effective." Elias shrugged modestly. "Sometimes a different perspective helps. Humans have a tendency to improvise." Lyra's lips twitched in a gesture that almost resembled a smile. "Almost. Improvisation can be dangerous," she said, though her tone carried less warning than before. Yet in this instance, it worked. As they continued, the station's lights dimmed to simulate night, casting a quiet glow over the control chamber. Outside, the planet rotated slowly, oceans gleaming like liquid sapphires, clouds drifting in endless patterns. Elias felt a strange sense of calm, knowing that despite their differences they were achieving something together. Lyra, on the other hand, remained measured. Yet even she could not hide a flicker of intrigue. There was something about humans, something unpredictable, resourceful, and determined, that both frustrated and fascinated her. Elias was one of the rare humans who could challenge her assumptions without arrogance, without breaking rules, yet still bring results. Finally, after hours of work, Lyra stepped back from the console. "The array is functioning within optimal parameters. You have done well, Elias." Elias smiled, feeling a wave of relief and satisfaction. "Thank you. Couldn't have done it without your guidance either." Lyra's eyes met his, steady and unyielding. "Do not mistake temporary success for compatibility. We may work together, but I still doubt that this partnership will endure." Elias chuckled softly. "Maybe not. But maybe one night could change that." Lyra regarded him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. And in that quiet pause, Elias felt the faintest spark of something new, something neither of them could yet name. The stars beyond the observation deck twinkled, infinite and mysterious, as if silently witnessing the start of an unexpected connection. One night, one opportunity, and perhaps a chance to prove that humans and aliens, different as they were, could achieve far more together than apart. The following morning, the station hummed with activity, its corridors alive with workers from multiple worlds. Elias made his way to the communications hub, his mind replaying the events of the previous night. Lyra's unexpected recognition of his ideas lingered in his thoughts. There was something about her, calm, precise, yet subtly curious, that made him want to understand her better. Lyra was already at her console, her fingers moving in perfect synchronization with the holographic panels. She didn't glance up when he entered. Elias studied her for a moment. She seemed untouchable, like a star floating alone in the vastness of space, bright yet distant. "Good morning," Elias said softly. Lyra's eyes flicked toward him briefly. "Morning," she replied, neutral as ever. "We have new tasks today. The planetary array requires calibration to adjust for recent atmospheric fluctuations." Elias nodded. "I'll start analyzing the nodes and report any inconsistencies." Lyra raised an eyebrow but did not respond further. She seemed ready to work silently, as always. Yet Elias had noticed a subtle difference from the night before. She was not dismissing him outright this time. He moved to his station and began running diagnostics. As he worked, he observed Lyra's approach. Every movement was efficient, every calculation precise. Elias admired her discipline, though he sometimes found it almost too rigid. Human intuition thrived on flexibility, on seeing connections where rules could not explain. Hours passed. The data flowed between them silently, occasionally punctuated by short observations or confirmations. Elias noticed an anomaly in one of the energy nodes. The readings fluctuated slightly, but not enough for the AI to flag it as critical. "Lyra," he called, "I think we should look at node 12. The fluctuations are small, but they could grow during peak transmissions." Lyra's eyes shifted toward him. You wish to act on minor deviations? She asked, her voice calm but questioning. Yes, Elias said. It's better to adjust now than to wait for a bigger problem later. Lyra hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Very well. Show me your method. Elias guided her through, his approach using simulations and simple adjustments. He explained each step carefully, making sure she understood the reasoning behind the decisions. Lyra listened quietly, her expression unreadable, but her fingers hovered near the controls, ready to act. As they worked together, something remarkable began to happen. Lyra's curiosity sparked. She asked questions, not out of doubt, but out of genuine interest. She wanted to understand the human logic behind his unconventional choices. Why do you adjust the sequence this way? She asked, pointing at the simulation. Elias smiled. Sometimes patterns aren't obvious at first. Humans like to look at things from different angles. By rearranging the sequence, we can balance the load more evenly. Lyra studied the display, her violet eyes sharp. Intriguing. Your method relies on intuition rather than calculated prediction, yet it produces results. Exactly, Elias said. Sometimes intuition sees what calculations miss. She paused for a moment, then allowed a faint smile to touch her lips. It was quick, almost imperceptible, but Elias noticed. It made his chest feel warmer than the station's artificial sunlight. The day began like any other aboard Orion station, with the gentle hum of machinery and the soft chatter of crew members from many worlds. Elias had just finished reviewing the energy nodes when an alert blinked across the main console. Elias, Lyra said sharply, her violet eyes narrowing at the display. We have a situation. A plasma storm is approaching the planet's upper atmosphere. It could disrupt all communications for hours if we do not act quickly. Elias leaned closer to the console. How severe is it? Significant, Lyra replied. The storm is unstable. The AI predicts up to a 50% disruption in transmission efficiency. If it worsens, planetary colonies may lose contact completely. Elias felt the familiar spark of challenge ignite. Humans had a way of thriving in chaos, of seeing possibilities when others only saw danger. He turned to Lyra. Looks like we're going to be busy tonight. Lyra crossed her arms. This will require both precision and speed. We cannot afford mistakes. Together, they moved to the communication array. Outside the station, the approaching storm painted the atmosphere with streaks of pale green and violet light, swirling unpredictably. The sheer scale of it was awe-inspiring. Elias felt a shiver of excitement mixed with tension. Elias, Lyra said, gesturing to the central panel. We must stabilize the output before the storm interferes. I propose we follow the standard protocol, adjusting node frequencies sequentially to minimize disruption. Elias shook his head. I think we need something different. If we follow the standard protocol, the storm's unpredictability could still cause major outages. I want to try a parallel approach, adjusting multiple nodes at once, carefully monitored to balance the load dynamically. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Risky. Very risky. One error and the array could overload. No, Elias said calmly. But if we coordinate, your calculations plus my adjustments could handle it. After a tense moment, Lyra nodded. Very well. We will try your method. But understand, this depends on absolute synchronization. They got to work. Elias monitored the energy pulses, identifying subtle patterns in the storm's interference. Lyra calculated precise adjustments, issuing commands to the array with flawless timing. The combination of human intuition and alien logic created a rhythm, a dance of thought and action. Minutes turned into hours. The storm raged outside, and the station trembled under its energy. Panels flickered, data streams surged, and the AI issued repeated warnings. Yet Elias remained calm, focused on reading the subtle signals the storm sent through the array. Node 15 is fluctuating, he said. We need to divert power there quickly. Lyra adjusted her calculations instantly. Diverting. Now, watch the neighboring nodes. Together, they guided the energy flows, redirecting surges and stabilizing the output. Each time the storm shifted, Elias adapted, Lyra recalculated, and the system held. Amid the tension, small moments of connection emerged. Elias noticed Lyra's fingers trembling slightly as she typed commands, an almost imperceptible sign of stress. He offered a quiet, "We've got this." And she nodded, a flicker of gratitude in her gaze. For the first time, Elias realized Lyra trusted him completely, not just in words, but in action. And he, in turn, trusted her precise calculations to support his instinctive adjustments. The storm grew more violent, forcing them to think faster. A sudden spike threatened to overload multiple nodes simultaneously. Elias called out a new adjustment, and Lyra implemented it without hesitation. "Careful," she warned. "If this fails, we lose the array's stability." Elias took a deep breath, relying on instinct. "I've got it. Watch this." He made a series of rapid adjustments, balancing energy flows across multiple channels. Lyra's eyes widened slightly as she watched the display, calculations confirming that Elias's method was working. The storm outside seemed to respond to their efforts, its peaks gradually diminishing. Slowly, the plasma storm passed over the station, leaving behind quiet luminescent trails in the planet's atmosphere. The energy nodes stabilized, transmissions returned to normal, and the alert lights vanished. Lyra exhaled deeply. "You succeeded." Elias smiled, though fatigue tugged at his shoulders. "We succeeded. Together." She regarded him for a long moment, her violet eyes searching. "I admit, I underestimated your ability to adapt under pressure. Humans, you are unpredictable, yet effective." "And you," Elias said, "are precise, disciplined, and willing to take calculated risks. Together, we make a strong team." For the first time, Lyra allowed herself a full smile. "Perhaps I judged too quickly. Your methods are not what I expected, but they work. Efficiently, even." Outside the observation deck, the planet below shimmered under the calm after the storm. Elias and Lyra stood side by side, silent for a moment, feeling the quiet relief that followed intense effort. "Elias," Lyra said finally, her tone softer than before, "you have a strange way of thinking. Your intuition is unlike anything I have seen. It is valuable." Elias chuckled softly. "I could say the same about your discipline. You see the patterns I cannot, anticipate the risks I might overlook. We complement each other." Lyra's expression softened further. "Perhaps one night does not define compatibility, but it can reveal potential. I see that now." Elias nodded. "Exactly. And that potential is something worth exploring." The storm had tested them, pushed them beyond their usual limits, and yet they had prevailed. It was more than a technical victory. It was a personal one. Trust had grown where doubt once stood. Curiosity had replaced skepticism, and a new understanding was forming, subtle but undeniable, between human and alien, engineer and diplomat, as the station's artificial lights bathed the control chamber in warm hues. Elias glanced at Lyra. "Think we're ready for whatever comes next?" Lyra considered for a moment, then allowed a small nod. "We are, together." And for the first time, Elias felt that together was more than just words. It was a promise of collaboration, of understanding, and perhaps of a bond that could endure challenges yet unseen. One night had begun to change everything. The storm had passed, but Orion Station was not yet free from its effects. Minor system. Alerts flashed intermittently, and several sections of the station were temporarily locked for safety checks. Elias and Lyra were still at the communications hub, ensuring that the planetary array remained stable. The station's AI informed them that all other technicians had been evacuated for safety, leaving them alone in the softly humming control chamber. Elias stretched his arms, rubbing the fatigue from his shoulders. "Looks like we're stuck. Here for the night, he said lightly, though the fatigue made his voice carry a note of truth. Lyra did not respond immediately. She was still monitoring the console, her sharp violet eyes scanning the energy nodes with meticulous care. Finally, she looked up. Yes, the storm caused a structural lock. We cannot leave until repairs are complete. Elias gave a small smile. Well, I guess we have some unexpected overtime. Lyra raised an eyebrow. Overtime is irrelevant. Our focus must remain on stabilizing the array and preventing further interference. Elias nodded, but he sensed a subtle shift in the air. The enforced solitude meant they would be together for hours, forced to cooperate closely. It was different from earlier. There was no distraction, no noise. Just the two of them and the quiet hum of the station. As the hours passed, Elias worked on minor adjustments while Lyra calculated precise calibrations. They moved in a rhythm, a silent coordination of instinct and logic. Occasionally, Elias would make a suggestion, and Lyra would either approve or refine it. Their earlier tension had softened, replaced by a cautious familiarity. During a brief lull in activity, Elias leaned back in his chair and looked toward the observation window. The planet below shimmered under a blanket of soft green auroras, remnants of the plasma storm. The beauty of it caught him off guard. It's amazing, he murmured. Even after all the chaos, the planet looks peaceful. Lyra approached the window silently. Humans have a tendency to notice beauty in unexpected places, she said. It is different from the Viridian perspective. We focus on efficiency, outcomes, and predictability. Elias smiled. Maybe noticing beauty is part of what makes us human. We see patterns, but we also see meaning. Lyra studied him for a long moment. Meaning? She repeated softly. Perhaps it is worth considering. Encouraged by her curiosity, Elias decided to take a risk. Lyra, can I ask you something personal? Her eyes flicked toward him. If it pertains to the task, I suppose. He chuckled. Not exactly. I mean, you've been working so closely with me. I've noticed your discipline, your precision. But I also see curiosity. You seem interested in understanding why humans think the way we do. I want to know what it is like for you. Being Viridian, logical, so structured. Does it ever feel lonely? Lyra paused, her expression unreadable. Then she said softly, almost reluctantly, lonely, perhaps. We value efficiency, yes, but also predictability. That leaves little room for spontaneous connection. Interacting with humans is disorienting at first, but intriguing. Elias nodded, sensing her honesty. I get that. Humans can be unpredictable, even chaotic, but we also value connection. We learn from each other, we grow together. Maybe that's why our teamwork works. You bring logic, I bring intuition, and together we find balance. Lyra studied him, her violet eyes thoughtful. Balance. An interesting concept. Perhaps there is merit in your perspective. Observing your method, morning light filtered through the observation deck, painting Orion Station in soft gold. Outside, the planet's surface shimmered peacefully, the storm a distant memory. Inside the station, however, the energy from the previous night's events still lingered. Technicians hurried through the corridors and alerts on the consoles had mostly returned to normal. Elias arrived at the communications hub, carrying a small cup of synthetic coffee. Lyra was already there, standing by the central console, reviewing the night's data. Her violet eyes were calm, precise, but there was something different in her expression, something almost like quiet approval. You slept well? Elias asked lightly, setting his cup down. Lyra did not respond immediately. She scanned the readings, then finally said, Sufficiently. The array maintained stability throughout the night. Your adjustments were effective. I am satisfied. Elias smiled. We did it together. Your calculations and my guesses balanced each other out. Lyra's lips twitched in what could almost be considered a smile. Human intuition, combined with methodical precision. Perhaps there is merit in this combination. I underestimated it. Elias felt a small thrill. Lyra's acknowledgement was rare, and he had learned not to take it lightly. You know, Lyra, I think this shows more than just technical success. It shows that when humans and Viridians work together, we can achieve more than either of us could alone. Lyra studied him, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then she nodded slightly. Perhaps. But recognition does not equate to compatibility. One successful night does not guarantee a lasting partnership. Elias chuckled softly. Maybe not, but it's a start, and maybe that start is enough to build trust. Their conversation was interrupted by a call from the station command. Elias answered, followed by Lyra. The voice on the intercom was brisk but formal. Orion Station, please report your status. The planetary array must be verified and presented to leadership for evaluation. Elias glanced at Lyra. Looks like we have an audience. Lyra's expression remained calm, though Elias could sense a subtle shift in tension. Together, they moved to the main presentation console. The data from the storm, the adjustments they had made, and the stability metrics were organized for review. The station's AI had prepared an overview, but the explanation required a human and Viridian perspective, precisely what Elias and Lyra could provide. As the leadership arrived, humans and aliens alike, Elias felt the weight of responsibility. Lyra's presence beside him was reassuring, a silent reminder that they had faced the storm together and succeeded. Present your findings, the command voice said. Lyra stepped forward first. The planetary array experienced fluctuations due to the plasma storm overnight. Standard protocols would have resulted in partial disruption of communications with surface colonies. However, through combined adjustments and dynamic calibration, the array maintained stability, preserving uninterrupted data flow, Elias added. We monitored the nodes carefully, adjusting energy distribution in real time. By combining methodical calculation with flexible adjustments, we were able to counteract unpredictable interference from the storm. There was a brief pause as the leadership absorbed the information. Then a senior human engineer spoke. Impressive. The array's performance exceeded expectations. How did you achieve such precise results under unpredictable conditions? Elias glanced at Lyra. It was teamwork. Her calculations guided my adjustments, and my perspective allowed us to respond flexibly. Neither method alone would have been enough. Lyra nodded in agreement. Collaboration revealed solutions that were not immediately obvious. The combination of intuition and precision proved effective. The room remained quiet for a moment. Then one of the alien council members, known for strict evaluation, said slowly, I underestimated human capability. Your performance demonstrates value in collaboration. Adaptation and innovation can be as important as discipline and logic. Elias felt a surge of satisfaction. Lyra's eyes met his briefly, and he saw approval there, a rare and genuine acknowledgement. After the presentation, the leaders left, leaving the hub quiet once more. Elias let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Well, that went well. Lyra turned toward him, her expression softer than usual. It went well because we trusted each other's methods. Your intuition complemented my calculations. Perhaps this experience shows that cooperation can extend beyond professional necessity. Elias smiled, feeling a connection deepen. I'd like to think so. Not just for work, but for understanding each other better. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence was comfortable, filled with mutual respect and the lingering memory of the storm. Then Lyra spoke. Her morning light filtered through the observation windows of Orion Station, casting soft patterns across the polished floors. The storm had passed completely, leaving the planet below calm and radiant. Elias stood by the console, reviewing the data from the night before. Every reading confirmed what he already knew. The array was stable, the communications fully restored, and the station itself had weathered the challenge flawlessly. Lyra approached silently, her violet eyes scanning the results alongside him. For the first time, she seemed completely at ease, her usual formality softened by the satisfaction of success. "We did well," Elias said, a quiet pride in his voice. "The storm could have caused chaos, but we kept everything under control." Lyra nodded. "Yes, the array performed within optimal parameters. Your contributions were significant. I admit I did not anticipate such effective improvisation from a human." Elias smiled. "And I didn't anticipate your precision being so helpful. Seems like we both exceeded expectations." A soft laugh escaped Lyra, rare and almost musical. "It appears so. Perhaps there is value in collaboration between human intuition and Viridian calculation." Their moment of quiet celebration was interrupted by a soft chime from the station's AI. "Attention. Planetary colonies report full restoration of communications. All systems operational. Crew members are returning to their stations. Recognition of teamwork and efficiency recommended." Elias glanced at Lyra. "Looks like someone is going to notice what we did." Lyra's lips twitched in the faintest hint of a smile. "Recognition is irrelevant. The results matter more than praise." "Still," Elias said, "a little recognition doesn't hurt." Together they moved to the central hub, where station leadership awaited their report. Humans and Viridian alike filled the room, curious about the overnight efforts. Elias and Lyra presented their results, detailing the challenges and their solutions. Every adjustment, every calculation, every intuitive choice was laid out clearly. By the end, there was a moment of silence, followed by appreciative nods and murmurs of admiration. The station commander stepped forward. "Elias, Lyra, your teamwork saved the colonies from significant disruption. Your ability to combine human adaptability with Viridian precision demonstrates the value of interspecies collaboration. Well done." Elias felt a warmth spread through him. But more than that, he glanced at Lyra and saw the pride reflected in her violet eyes. She returned his glance, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. They had done something remarkable together. After the formalities, they walked toward the observation deck. The planet below looked peaceful, its oceans glimmering, clouds drifting lazily. The chaos of the storm was now a memory, replaced by calm and beauty. Lyra spoke softly, almost to herself, yet clearly for Elias to hear. "I underestimated humans, underestimated you." Elias smiled. "We often surprise people, sometimes even ourselves." She nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I see now that cooperation is not simply following rules or executing calculations. It is understanding, adapting, and trusting. Humans excel in these areas, and Viridian excel in precision and foresight," Elias said. "We complement each other." For a moment they were silent, watching the planet below, both reflecting on the night that had changed so much. The storm had tested them, pushed them to their limits, and yet they had emerged stronger, not just professionally but personally. Trust had formed, respect had deepened, and something unspoken lingered between them. Elias finally broke the silence. "Lyra, I know you said one night doesn't determine compatibility, but I think we've proven something important. Together we can face challenges that neither of us could handle alone." Lyra regarded him, her violet eyes thoughtful. "Perhaps one night is enough to reveal potential, but it does not define everything. Yet I see now that potential is meaningful. I trust that you will continue to approach problems with the same ingenuity and care." Elias nodded. "And I trust that you will continue to apply your precision and insight. Together we can accomplish far more than either of us imagined." The observation deck was quiet, save for the faint hum of the station's systems. For Elias, the night's trials had become a memory of triumph and connection. For Lyra, it was a revelation of human capability, adaptability, and trustworthiness. Both knew that what had begun as a professional challenge had transformed into something deeper, a partnership grounded in respect, shared effort, and understanding. Do you think we'll face more storms? Elias asked lightly, though his tone carried a hint of curiosity. Lyra allowed herself a small smile. I am certain we will, and I am also certain that your unpredictability will continue to challenge and intrigue me. He chuckled. I'll take that as a C.